gives me a pleasure to invite a special speaker today, as well as he is a celebrated leader, a CXO. And very interestingly, while I'll read his bio, but if I have to say, I think he is a combination of few things. He brings a very unique style of storytelling, but at the same point of time, he has an experience of working with some of the best minds in the industry, some of the very sharp and large-scale entrepreneurs. He has worked with some really interesting startup organization which disrupted the industry, and he brings that kind of an experience when he shares the story. So it is not just a story, but a story based on a lot of experiences. Well, I read his profile, and I'm very fond of his storytelling, because it is not, again, as I said, it's not story. There's more of experiences being shared personally about him. Captain Raghu Raman has had a distinguished career spanning 3 distinct leadership environments, which I was talking about: the military, corporate, and the government. He has experienced diverse settings: the authoritarian style of the armed forces, the incentive-driven approach of corporate like Mahindra, Reliance Industries, and Adani, as well as the procedure-driven bureaucratic style of the government. Captain Raman has founded and led companies including complex global joint ventures, and was handpicked by the government as the founding CEO of the National Intelligence Grid, an agency which was set up after the 26/11 attack. Captain Raman has served as a strategic advisor to national and global leaders and has a strong presence in leading publications and platforms, including TEDx and Josh. His talks and podcasts have been watched over 50 million times, and are used as a case studies in several leadership forums and storytelling workshops. Captain Raman is visiting faculty for esteemed business schools and government institutions, including the Indian School of Business, IIMS. He is the author of the best-selling book, Every Man's War, and anchored a leadership development program for the Adani Group, is structured to produce 75 CEOs in 2 years. Additionally, he hosted an NDTV talk show, Wisdom of Leaders, and most important, is considered to be one of the best solution and concept selling coaches in the country. Again, experiential. With this note, I invite a special leader, a special speaker, and a renowned celebrity speaker too, Captain Raghu Raman, please. Ladies and gentlemen, join hands.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Post-lunch session, Rakesh has given me, right? So right now your mind share attention would be probably the lowest. That's good, because this is usually the mind share and attention level that you get from the people whom you go to pitch to, normally, right? Whenever you go to pitch your... Anyway, so we were thinking about what should be the session that I do, and I was talking to Rakesh and sort of said that, and some of our colleagues, friends who were there in Delhi, who was there in India Habitat Center? They have left? No, oh, you're here. Oh, a few of them are there. Okay, good. What I heard there was actually quite resonating with, I turned 60 last month. Happy birthday to me. Okay? That basically means for the last 35 to 40 years, I have seen these various new technologies that come. I'm now going to give you a roadmap of those technologies. Of course, this is not valid for any lady sitting over here, because only the men will remember those times when there used to be floppy disks, and you know, suddenly there was this whole thing about internet. How many of you remember that internet used to be allowed during only lunch hours, and there were firewalls that would determine which sites you could go to? Do you remember that? Yeah, you remember. Then there was a time when suddenly there was this whole thing about Boyd, bring your own device, and you know, which device you can bring, what should be the software loaded on that, blah, blah, blah. Then it was a new revolution about SAP, PeopleSoft. Remember that time? ERP, the business transformation is going on. And after that, suddenly there was information security which came, and everybody has to be looking at information, HIPAA, 7799, all these stories. And then BPOs and outsourcing, offshoring, nearshoring, rearshoring, all these things happened. And now we have come to GCC, and for a lot of people who are coming into this Kumbh Mela for the first time, they might be thinking this is the first Kumbh Mela that is happening, but it's not true. These changes, these transformations happen in organizations. They have been happening for decades, for centuries. And by and large, in the last 30, 40 years of my work ex, and as Rakesh pointed out, I've been extraordinarily lucky. I've been lucky to work in the armed forces. After that, I've been lucky to work personally with leaders such as Mukesh Bhai, Gautam Bhai, Anand Mahindra, Mr. Deepak Parekh, all of these people who have led major transformations. And I've had the good fortune to watch as a fly on the wall which pitches work, which selling solutions work, who are the leaders who are able to convince people about making transformational changes, and who are the leaders who have all the knowledge, all the gyan, all the technical elements, but keep sitting outside the boardroom and constantly saying they just don't get it. These guys just don't get it. They don't understand our value. Whose fault is that if they don't get it? So there was a very famous business leader who had gone on an IPO. I don't want to name him, but you all know who I'm referring to. And his IPO crashed. And when his IPO crashed, his first response was, the investors didn't get our story. Right? You know, whose fault is that if the investor doesn't get your story? Good. So today, I'm going to be talking about a very simple concept of solution selling, and hope to share with you some of the experience that I've had personally. I've sold some fairly tough solutions to fairly tough environments, I won't say people. And as we were discussing a few minutes ago, all of us are selling all the time. You're either selling to get the funding for the GCC, or you're selling, some leader has to give you mind share, or he has to give you his key good people, or he has to pay attention to what you are saying. All of those things are sales. And if at any time you hear this mantra running in your head, that my buyer doesn't get it, the buyer is not able to see the full value, the buyer does not know how great we are going to be, then we have to remember that the buyer has got 700 things going on in her head, his head, or whatever. And if you are not making that impact, that fault, I don't know who it lies with, but the impact is definitely going to lie with you. The consequence will definitely lie with you. Are we in the same page? Are we in agreement? Yes? Good. So let me start by telling you a story. And this story is about a person who sold the wheel. Wheel, you all know wheel, na? Paya. We all agree that wheel is one of the greatest inventions of man. And one could argue that as soon as you have invented a wheel, customers will just come rushing to your door. Arey paya bana diya, now I have to buy this wheel. As they say, invent a great product or make a great product or a service, and customers will beat a path to your door. Most of us who have made great products or have been involved in the construction of great products, or even have bought products, know that very often it is not the great product that sells. Some of the best technologies have died on the way. Blu-ray, where is Blu-ray now? You don't hear about the Blu-ray. You don't hear about several technologies which actually took off, pretty PKI, biometric, and all of those things which took off in a very big way. You realize a lot of them just fall on the side because they were not sold properly. So we are going to talk about this gentleman who is the hero of our story. And as you can see, he is an ordinary worker who is working in a major construction site where temples are being built, South India. So major temples are being built. And if you look at the scenario, if you do a quick walk around in the work site and get the vibe of that company, vibe of that organization, you will see with the work happening with tens of thousands of slaves and elephants dragging rocks and all of that, you will see that there is one element very, very missing in this entire picture. Do you see that? What is missing? There is no wheel, right? So this is pre-wheel era, where people are dragging the heavy tonnage with elephants and sledges and whips and mar ke kaam karwa rahe hain unse. Subah se leke sham tak, 6-day week, this, that, nahi karega to variable pay kaat dunga. All of these statements, that is another way of hunter, no? It's another way of driving people, right?
So all this is happening, and our man, he actually figures out that maybe there is a solution to this. And he is working at his solution. Every night he goes back, after working for badi 12 hours, he goes back home, then he works on this solution, he's trying experiment, this, that. You notice his wife standing on the side, she's not looking very pleased. Yeah, work-life balance, pura 12 बजे तक काम करता है, then you come back home and then you again start laptop में शुरू हो जाता है, what's going on? He said, no, I am inventing something and I really know this is going to be a game changer, because once I make the wheel and I go and convince the overseer and tell the overseer about how with this wheel he does not need thousands of elephants, he does not need tens of thousands of slaves, he doesn't need to borrow them hunter, there's so much of hanks that can be removed, so much of happiness will happen, what that Gallup survey results will go up, all of those things he's giving him, right? So wife is agreeing, okay, fine, in that case, continue working till 2 o'clock, whatever, I'll do the household chores, I'll handle that PTM meeting, this, that, whatever, tum karo apna, jo bhi weekend mein karna hai. That's what is going on. Finally, one day when he thinks he's got it right, wheel is more or less okay, it's been improved, it's been taken to a version, business plan is now ready, I think we have got enough data to be able to convince the business head that we can actually make this change. He goes to the overseer. And instead of that overseer welcoming him and telling him, wow, what a great solution, thappada maar ke bhagwa dete, ab badi hal, get out of here. Can any one of you guess why the overseer does that? Why does he do it? Sorry? He doesn't understand. The guy has given him a great explanation about how the wheel can change the history of transportation and future of transportation, how AI will make 10 logon ka kaam will be done by only 2 people, and this team of 4,000 people, headcount can be reduced to just 300 people. Exactly. Today he's a King Kong who has got 10,000 slaves and 4,000 elephants, and he's the Raja. Oh, chutti ke liye uske paas people come to him for advance of pay. They come in. You are telling him that with my solution, your entire empire, abhi banaya to vice president BPO with 8,000 people under you, that entire empire will vanish, and here is a solution for it. Right? What do you think he'll do? He'll of course hit you and make you run. So this guy tries going to various different work sites, various places where GCCs are going on, trying to sell the solution, this, that, but it's not working out. Every place he goes to, he is sent back home, and this happens for several months when he's completely dejected. And then he hears that there is an oracle in that village who is a old, experienced guy with white hair and all of that. And he says, iske paas jaake puchte hain yaar, ki apna wheel kyun nahi bik raha hai? Why is my solution not getting sold? I'll speak sometimes in Hindi, but I'll translate it. You don't have to worry, right? So he goes to him, tells him this whole story, कि ऐसा ऐसा मैं इधर गया, उधर गया, went to this side. Oh, Madurai also went, sir, उधर भी try किया, south zone, west zone, every zone, but the same answer I'm getting, people are buddy. So now this oracle tells him the same thing that I'm telling you, that product and services have a certain sales cycle, but solutions have a completely different sales cycle. Because in solutions, you never sell to one person. You always sell to a group of people who have very, very, very different drivers. And he tells them there are these 4 people. I'll walk you through each one of them. The first is what we call the champion. Champion wants GCC to happen. Why does he want GCC to happen? Because he saw it in some other company. He went to Facebook, there he saw open office, so he wants open office. Or he went and met Elon Musk, and he saw, actually, do we have any Adani colleagues here? Still sitting? They will tell you that Gautam Bhai went to Wellspun, inaugurated a GCC there, came out from there and said, Mera ko bhi chahiye. Everybody, I want it. Of course, that's all. Doesn't want your company. Doesn't need SSF Global as a vendor. He just wants GCC. That's it. There is a second buyer who is the economic buyer. The economic buyer is looking for use cases. How we are not use case, I'll create value for value. Headcount kam karega kya? Agle quarter ka, can you reduce my inventory cost? Can you reduce the number? Give me something that I can look, measure quarter by quarter. Don't give me, sir, 10 years down the line, you will go down in history as the first person who did this legacy shit. He's not that is a champion script. That is not an economic buyer script. Then there is a third buyer, there is a fourth buyer, and we have to tie it all together. We will go step by step as I walk you through it. Of course, I'm telling this to you as a story, but trust me, This is the story that really happens in solution selling. So anyway, our man goes and says कि मेरे को champion को sell करना है. I have to sell to the champion. Now selling to the champion is not easy. Because you have to sell to the champion, that sales persona, or rather that sales pitch, has to have a very, very different kind of a pitch. And you will see the reason why. I often use this term, I call it impact. And what does impact mean for me? Is one day, let's say you're on a flight traveling from, where do you stay? Which city? Bangalore. So you're traveling from Bangalore to say Bombay. And suddenly you notice in the flight, the person sitting on your right hand side is Mr. Anand Mahindra. Just happened. Good luck, bad luck, whatever. I want you to ask this question to yourself, all of us, that when the flight lands in Bombay after about, say, hour and a half, 2 hours, what is going to be your last conversation with Mr. Anand Mahindra? Will it be, what's your name, sir? Will it be him telling, Naveen, I really like this idea, can you send me a note on this? Or I'm going to ask Anish's team to get in touch with you because you know what you're doing with this sounds really exciting. Or will it be, sir, can I have a selfie with you? Which one will it be? Now, if it is the former, you have left an impact. If it is the latter, there is no impact. Please remember that when you sell to a champion, you have to leave an impact. And that impact leaving requires a certain kind of a persona. So the first stage of the sale is convincing the champion in principle that we need a GCC, we need a command center, we need our own, crash work from home, we need our own open office, we need this. That is the first step. And that usually has to be done in a very, very flamboyant manner. It can't be done with PPTs, it can't be done with, decks that you send. It has to be done in some mega big, a big bang kind of a thing. And that's why the Oracle tells him that I got the right salesperson for you, because currently, where he is working? He is working in a company that sells magic carpets. It's that era, huh? So he is now a magic carpet salesman, so usko bulata hai. Now the Oracle ka student, he was Oracle student. So he comes, he flies in and he comes and tells him, okay, what is the story? So he says, product bahut tada hai. We have invented this damn wheel, but not able to get an audience with the decision maker. Because there are many gatekeepers on the way who will not allow you to meet the who don't allow you to meet the decision maker, who won't give you that 10 minutes or 20 minutes that you need with the decision maker one-on-one to be able to convince. So this sales guy says, this is not the way you go to decision makers. You make the decision makers come to you. How do you do that? So he goes to this town where there is a massive temple project going on. And in that town, he starts announcing and telling people, all the people, that one man can lift as many rocks as elephants can. And he starts putting these hoardings all over the place and say on 20th of August at ITC, whatever, you will see one man pick up hundreds of stones and take them, and uska ticket bhi lagata hai. Also, yeah, he charges a ticket. That's why pura stadium mein people come to watch. He says, I'll charge you a ticket for this also, and they come. And then, of course, he does this demonstration. And as soon as he does the demonstration of moving that many rocks, as you can see, the king is also watching. The decision maker is watching. And the decision maker is really impressed. And he says, you know what? You should come to my organization and talk to all the heads of departments. So now it's a pitch which is happening to all the heads of departments. And in principle, the decision maker has said, yes, this sounds good. We will go ahead with this project. Are you with me so far? Many of you are probably in this zone right now, where the in-principle decision maker has said, we need to do this, sab log kar rahe hain, humko bhi karna hai, and we have to establish a GCC. You notice that old man sitting, holding the wheel? Can you guess who that is? Huh? No, inventor to left mein yaar, itna budda nahi hua wo. He is the subject matter expert who is usually brought in from the client side, someone with white hair. Sir, dekho, isko aata hai, hamare side mein se. He used to work with Microsoft earlier, sir, 30 years. Now he's working with us. And he is that person, right? He's brought in. As a subject matter expert who say he set up so many GCCs, MX se shuru kiya, sir, 25 saal pehle se, he knows a lot of stuff. So he's brought in to be a counter to the organization's technical buyer. We'll get to that buyer. So the first person who has to be championed after the champion is bought it has to be the economic buyer. The economic buyer will say, chacha, pehle hathi se jata tha, itne hathi uska अनाज वनाज, we have to feed it grains, this, that, उसका supply chain अलग, and फिर उसमें हाथी बीमार भी होता है, उसके लिए माहौत चाहिए, all of these elements. So he's doing a cost analysis. And now use cases are beginning where you're saying, sir, if we move this part, where so many elephants are there, we can actually start with a pilot, this, that, all those stories. So in principle, a pilot is approved. Please remember, the way you sell to a champion has to be flamboyant. It has to be larger than life. You will go down in history, sir. This is the first time anyone in the pharmaceutical industry is doing a GCC. Everyone else has done it, but pharma mein, sir, we will be the first ones. You will leave a legacy, sir. You will employ 3 lakh people in India, sir. They will sing your legacy. That's the way a champion has to be sold. Economic buyers care jack shit about legacies, caring about the next quarter. So here, it has to be much, much shorter wins. It has to be economic wins, it has to be inventory movement, it has to be speed of doing something, it has to be a better awareness of what is happening in the establishment, but something that is extremely measurable and something that he or she can go back to the board and say, our AI project or GCC has already started yielding dividends. It's a very, very important statement that the economic buyer has to be able to make to his stakeholders. Please remember, everyone works for somebody else. So just in case you thought a CEO runs his own show, I've been a CEO for 33 years. I can tell you that everybody has got a boss, regardless of who the person is. Nothing else, your share market is your boss. Let's face it, right? Investors are your boss. The next buyer whom you have to convince is called the technical buyer. Who is the technical buyer? He is your counterpart sitting in the organization who knows more about your stuff than you do. I'm sure you have met them all when you were doing information security sale or a concept sale or a new, I have to hire another 20. Why do you have to hire 20 people? In my time, we used to do it with only 3 people. Now with technology and all that, you should actually be reducing. Why are you increasing? This is the person who will know a lot about technology, whether he knows about it or not. Right? Now here, the play has to be completely different. Here the play can't be national vision, mission. Here the play has to be in terms of your CVs of the people who are going to be working on the project, the past experience that they have got, the success stories that they have. Please remember, this will be one of your toughest sells. Do you see those guys standing behind like this? Do you see them? Are they looking happy? Why are they looking very angry? Who are these people? Who are these people? This is that head of the data center, jiska now relocation will have to happen, you will have to move, uska bacche ka admission hua hai abhi pichle mahine, now you are moving him to, so all of these internal changes which are going to take place, they will never say that. No head of department will ever say, I just got admission in St. Columbus last month, now you are moving me to Jaipur. He won't say that. He says, sir, actually, talent base in Delhi is much better, sir. In Jaipur, we will not be able to get this. So they will never ever articulate what is the real driver because of which they are stymieing the projects. They will always make it either a technical, it's a Unix, it will not have compatibility with our software, this, that. They will always make it a technical issue on the basis of which your project is not going ahead. And this is the reason why you need this old man here. Usually, this old man here will be somebody who has got at least 1 decade more of experience than that technical person, and probably also supposed to be the industry standard. I remember a personal story I'm telling you. Anyone from Mahindra here? No one? Surprising. Usually they send some people for these kind of things. Anyway, in Mahindra, at one time, there were some 98 companies. Now, of course, there may be more, but I'm talking about time. And I used to head a company called Mahindra Special Services Group. It was an information security company. I can bet that there must be at least 10 to 15 clients or ex-clients of that company sitting here. Most financial institutions, most pharma companies, we have done some work, including Ranbaxy. I heard someone from Ranbaxy here speaking earlier in the morning. We did. Who is that from Ranbaxy? They're here? No, gone. So, I wanted to create a policy of profit share in my consulting firm. Now, no company in Mahindra at that point of time had profit share with employees. There was no concept. They used to give the CEO and COO maybe a little bit of ESOPs, but employees level, there was no such concept. So what I did was, there was a gentleman called Prem Kamath. Some of you may have heard his name. He used to be the head of HR of Unilever before Leena Nair. He was the head of HR. I took him on board as a consultant. And I told him, sir, can you consult with us? He cost me a bomb. At that time, I was a startup, and it cost me a bomb. But I still hired him. And a lot of my number twos, number three were telling, why are you hiring such a high-powered resource? You know, what do we need him for? We are not that large that we need him. But what did we need him for? Because when I was pitching the profit share concept, all of those things, and in front of me, Mr. Rajiv Dubey was sitting, Alan Sequeira was sitting, some of you may remember these names, these are all Tatas, ex-Tatas, Yodhas of HR, they all know that HR mein unka guru Prem Kamath hai. So if Prem Kamath is sitting on my side, they can't take a shot at me, because when they shoot at me, actually they're shooting at Dronacharya. They're not shooting at me. So that cost of getting a Dronacharya to sit on my side for a couple of months, 3 months or 4 months, well worth it when you are trying to push your ship through the Malacca Straits. When your ship is going through the Malacca Straits, better get a captain who knows Malacca Straits really, really well. So this old man is largely kept for this buyer, the technical buyer. More than the technical buyer, for the bugger standing in the back. वो technical buyer को मालूम है मेरा नौकरी safe है, मैं तो CTO हूँ, मैं कहाँ जाऊँगा, right? ये जो product heads हैं, इनका नौकरी खतरे में है, because they will have to reinvent themselves and all of that, and that is why they will try to stymie you, try to push back. Now we come to the stage where the solution has to be redesigned. Because please remember, the guy who came that flamboyance, he got the order. He got the order for 10,000 wheels. Now, if you just manufactured 10,000 wheels and took it to the client is not going to accept it. The client will say, iska bhai process batao, how do we do the transition from the elephants and chariots to this? How will the wheels be fit? Who will do the greasing? What is the maintenance schedule of this? How do we have spares in case something goes wrong? Do you have on-site engineers who will fix this? Because pehle to kya tha? Hunter मार के चला दिया लोगों को. Now we'll have to do all of these things. So you'll have to completely redesign the way the services are being developed. You may have gone with a prototype, but now once the prototype sees light of the day, you actually will have to start changing the product itself. And that product change design, its features, its tweaking, its customization, multilingual, localization, all of that you have to do in conjunction with the company with whom you're working. Mostly the users with whom you're working. So there is a whole reprocess, re-engineering, redesign that happens between prototype and the first version of the solution, and a lot of solution sellers don't want to do it. Because they say, bana diya yaar, ab jaisa banaya waise becho isko. Solutions can never be, so any product that you use today, mobile phone, laptop, any technology that you use today, it went through a evolution process. Those of you who are interested in really understanding this process, please read a book called Crossing the Chasm, which tells you that every product or service, when crossing the chasm, whenever the product or the service is crossing the chasm, from the other side, it has to be the early adopters, the first users of that product, who have to pull you from the other side. Because the early adopters are willing to take risks. The early adopters are wanting to be the first kid in the block. The early adopters are going to say, "Pure Hindustan mein sabse pehle humne kiya hai." They will therefore take some risks. Followers will not do that. Followers will want to see how many case studies you got, where it has been benefit exploitation, ka mere ko documents dikhao. I want to talk to some successful implementation, ask them how successful was it. These are followers. So when you are selling to a champion, you have to be ready to go through this step, which is in terms of custom. Oh, everybody has done it. SAP has done it, Oracle has done it. You name you have done it, I'm sure, pretty much every client which has done some sort of, solution selling. You have co-created, improved the product, working with the end client. Are you with me so far? Good. Now we get to the last person you have to sell to, which is the user buyer. The person who's going to be finally using your service or your product at grassroots level. Please remember one thing, very simple thumb rule about the user buyer, I'll tell you from my 4 decades of experience. The user buyer is usually sitting at the bottom layer of the totem of the hierarchy, the pyramid. है ना? User buyer has a very simple formula. The user buyer says, I catch the 6 o'clock chartered bus every day, today. Without your ERP, SAP, AI, ChatGPT, वो सब के बगैर 6 बजे का chartered bus I catch. If you make me catch the 5:30 chartered bus, I will root for this solution. I will go whole hog. I will say, बढ़िया इससे बढ़िया तो कोई चीज़ नहीं देखा मैं. If you make me catch the same bus at 6 o'clock, if it succeeds, doesn't succeed, doesn't. If you make me catch the 6:05, I will do what it takes to sabotage your product. Now the thing is, these are 4 different demographies, and there are 4 different pitches, and there are 4 different drivers. The champion is looking for leaving a legacy, to be known as the person who did it first. He's got the bigger picture in mind. He's looking much more in terms of we need to make this happen. He has no idea. I'll tell you a true story. I work with a couple of NGOs in Dharavi, and one day one of the MLAs who's responsible for Dharavi came on a visit to the school. And this is a school where this NGO teaches children from poor families vocational skills, like girls, they teach them how to do beauty salon work or henna, or boys, we teach them how to do mobile repair. And the reason why we teach these poor kids vocational skills is that if they have an alternate way of earning, then they are not going to be pulled out of the school. Because otherwise, if they don't have an alternate way of learning or alternate, then their parents usually send them to pick up bangar, plastic. That's the daily wages. So we were teaching them, and this MLA came to visit us in the school. MLA came, and the first thing she said, "Inko AI sikhao." And guess why? Why did she say that? Same reason why your CEO is telling you. GCC chahiye humko. AI hona chahiye. Everyone is doing AI. Just do a quick Google, not now, when you go back. Do a quick Google to see how many AI conferences are being held today in India, just today. We did a count last Friday when I was with Salesforce. On that day, it was 173 seminars, workshops, offsite, something or the other happening on that one single day. So she also wants it. Now there is no point in telling her कि हाँ बिजली नहीं है, machine नहीं चल रहा है. To teach AI, we need, what do you need? To teach AI, what would you need minimum? Minimum you will need computer. Computer नहीं तो phone तो चाहिए होगा. So what do you tell a champion like that, who comes and gives this wonky thing that we want AI? What do you tell a champion like that? हो जाएगा. Sorry, what do you say? You'll look into it. Okay, anyone else? This is a good corporate answer. He'll do well. He'll rise well in a corporate. Brilliant vision, sir. The right thing to tell a champion is, yes, sir, we'll make it happen, sir. Bijli dila do, sir. Get us electricity, sir. We need 20 laptops. Can you manage, ma'am, from your department, or write a letter to one of the badi companies that is in your district and tell them, "Sala laptop nahi bheja to dekho, IT ko bhejte hain tumhare piche." Not you IT, the other IT, right? So when a champion asks for something out of ignorance about what is required for it, it's a great opportunity to bid for whatever you want. Because the champion, as the definition says, will champion it. If the champion is convinced कि बिजली के बगैर कैसे, हाँ बात तो सही. Without बिजली, how will they learn AI? Now why is she wanting AI? Because उसको ऊपर से order आया होगा. You know, she is an MLA. So in some MP's conference, it must have CM ने बोला होगा कि सबको मोदी साहब बोल रहे हैं AI, तो तुम भी कराओ, सबको AI कराओ. But same thing happens, in companies also. I'm pretty sure about 6 to 9 months back, there was a campaign which was called Digital Dexterity, or any other version of it, in all the organizations. Suddenly people woke up and said, oh, everyone has to be digitally dexterous. उसके लिए क्या लिंडा से खींचो. There must be some software, पुराना कोई मॉड्यूल होगा, वो मॉड्यूल उठाओ, चेपो सबको. Right? She's smiling, Adani. And guess what? To make it implementable, link it to variable pay. That if you don't click next in front of these modules, you will not get your pay on 31st of March. And we have done our digital dexterity. We have trained everyone in digital dexterity, right? So when you pitch to a champion, you have a blank slate in which you can really draw the can. But please remember, when you go in front of a champion, you need to have a track record. You need to have a track record of success. You need to have projects that you have done in the past. You need to have credibility, or in other words, you need to have impact. You need to have impact. If you don't have impact, if you don't have center of gravity, if you don't have gravitas, if you have not studied 20 GCCs, if you have not studied the evolution of BPOs, if you don't know what are the challenges that are being faced, if you don't have the human psychological aspects that will come into play, if you don't know this framework, then you will not have impact. Because what impact you, sir, I worked in Ranbaxy, after that I worked in ABB, after that I worked there, before that I studied in Harvard, sir. That doesn't have impact. It has no impact. That's your CV reading. If he listens to it 3 times, he say, yeah, go and talk to my head of HR. He will not speak to you. So for impact, I think we have to first begin with ourselves. So I often say a leader is like a torch, and a torch has got a bulb, it's got a reflector, and it's got a battery. Many times leaders work on polishing the reflector so that my Angreji looks good, my PPT looks good, I use the latest jargon, vision, sir, kya vision hai, sir, huh? I do all of those things. But the problem is, if the bulb is dim, then polishing the reflector only reflects the dimness of the bulb. It does not reflect the gravitas. For gravitas, you'll have to work on the wattage of the bulb, which means you'll have to go back and change the batteries. So we really will have to go back and work on ourselves to see whether we understand this 4-part quadrant, whether our pitch is tailored differently for a champion, differently for an economic head, differently for a technical buyer, and finally, constantly and differently for the user buyers who have to root for this product. Are you with me so far? Good. So if you do it successfully, these 4 buyers, if you are able to convince the champion about the cause, convince the economic buyer about the financial viability, convince the technical, what do you convince the technical buyer to be? Huh? क्या सर क्या बंदे सर अगली बार आप मेरे टेक्निकल एडवाइजर बनना सर प्लीज नेक्स्ट पिच जब मैं करने जाऊंगा ना सर सीमेंस में you have to be the one who endorses that the product really worked for you, and he'll do it more than happily. Matter of fact, that old man that you saw sitting on the side is probably been a CTO in some other company until then, and that is why getting him on your side will enable it much easier for you to sell to the next technical buyer. And of course, finally, the user buyers, because user buyers not only help you pitch, they also help you discover a lot of things about your own products. I'll tell you a true story. You remember the Parliament attack which happened once? Do you all remember? So after the Parliament attack, the entire, is they being recorded? The entire security was revamped, and the CCTV cameras and all of those, a new system which was installed. It was an Israeli company, I don't want to name it. It's not about selling a superior product, finding a better vendor, making better timelines, managing to do it with lesser head. Let me tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. I have spent a good 20 years in the boardrooms, in equivalent of 15th floor, 16th floor in my life. I'm referring to a particular floor of a particular company, and they know what I'm talking about. Money is never a problem. Money is never a problem. How many times have you, anybody who's ever been in information security space? I'm sure many of the technology guys have been in. How many times have you heard this? Information security is extremely important to us, but this year we don't have the budget for it. It's a fucking oxymoron. How can something be extremely important for you? To design a logo, you have got 5 crores that you will give to an ad agency. For that you have money. But for information security, so this is a category confusion that is happening. This is a narrative confusion that is happening. You have not made the person realize the cost of not taking that decision on a daily basis. You have not made the person realize that every day that you lose, what is the other end at which it could be up and running, and that opportunity cost per day. There's a very famous story about Reliance. Anyone from Reliance here? He'll testify. I don't even know whether it's true or urban legend, but they say that when Jamnagar was being designed, so there was a major battle between the DuPont engineers who were our advisors at that point of time and our engineers internally about how should be the layout of the plant. So there was some discussion about the layout, and it was important because the layout meant that the design of the layout meant that the struts that go in, the metal struts that go in, wherever the struts go in, it had to be at least 10 feet of concretization below that to give it that foundation, right? And they're debating, it should be like this, it should be like this, it should be. Eventually, the whole matter went up to Dhirubhai, who, as many of you might be aware, is not even a school graduate. She's not even graduated out of school. He looked at the pros and cons and just gave a decision. He said, concretize the whole damn floor. The whole factory, concretize it 10 feet with concrete. So immediately the auditor said, the cost will overrun, this will be much more expensive, blah, blah, blah. What Dhirubhai said, which is what tells you who a champion buyer and an economic buyer would be, he said that when this plant goes live, on a daily basis, we'll be making 100 crores of profit. Every day that you delay is an opportunity cost of 100 crores for me. It is not a cost of 10 bags of cement or 20 bags. It is 100. So your ability to sell that each day you don't take a decision is a day of millions of dollars being lost. If you're able to sell it, I'll give you an example which many ladies here will sort of connect with instantly. How many of us have been to Zara? Where is the longest line apart from the changing room? Where is the longest line? Paying counter, when you go to pay, right? Now think about it, just think about it. The customer has taken the possession of the goods, right? And she or he is waiting to do the transfer. Count the number of seconds the money is on that side of the counter instead of being swiped in my, galla and earning interest for me, multiplied by millions of customers who come, multiplied by thousands of stores that they have, and you will suddenly realize the opportunity cost of this 10 seconds of delay. It will run in millions of dollars. Now, if you show this to somebody, to an economic buyer, he'll get it straight away. But if you tell them, sir, line mein khade रहते हो यार, कपड़ा ले लिया है, कहाँ जाएंगे? Once you have selected, have you ever left it? Saying line बहुत लंबी है, I'll go somewhere else. Do you do it? No. So he is looking at it from that point of view. ठीक है, दे देगी 5 minutes में, 2 minutes later she'll give it to me. What's the big deal? But it requires you to know that if you pitch this to an economic buyer, that what's the opportunity cost you're losing? इधर बड़े लगाओ यार, एक 10 counter और लगाओ. What's the big deal? And guess what? Put paraplegics there. Why do you need fully functional people? It can be paraplegics. Give them also CSR भी बढ़ेगा अपना, and ये भी हो जाएगा. That's the way to pitch to a. So we need to know that each one of these buyers will have a very, very different peculiarity, very different driver. And if you are able to convince them on that driver, then there is a very good chance that your solution will be sold. Otherwise, like many, many fantastic product creators who create a fantastic product but are unable to sell it, they will keep saying that the client doesn't get it. Client bekoof hai. Board is stupid. They just don't get it. They don't see the value that we can bring. I guess whenever we say that sentence, we should remind ourselves as to who doesn't get it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of my session, talk, whatever. Any questions, ideas, thoughts, I'll try to answer them. If you want a more detailed enactment of this entire story, there is a book which is called Selling the Wheel. And this is a narrative which is largely modified from that, based on that. Of course, the examples I gave you were my personal examples. But if there are any questions, any thoughts, any ideas, any resonance, that, now I get it. I'm actually pitching the, championship to the technical buyer. Technical buyer ka agenda hi kuch aur hai. He is not interested in how great your company is going to become. He is interested in the headcount which will reduce in his BPO right now. He is interested in the stuff that you will outsource and you will not have that control anymore. So once you understand it, my sense is you will be able to at least know why you are not able to sell or why you are not making that dent and why your end customer is not getting it. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes. Naveen has a question. But बोला मेरे को पकड़ा तो मैं भी पकड़ूंगा. Huh? Good. Go ahead, Naveen. Take the mic.
Now you mentioned we need to have a success story in case we need to do pitch. So let's say I don't have a success story. So how do I go?
This is a good, very good question, very good question. Matter of fact, let me segue a little. How are we of time? 5 minutes. Let me do a small segue here. Not only are there, I don't want to confuse you right now, okay? So I've talked about the 4 buyers. There are also different kind of decision makers. People who take decisions in very, very different ways. There is a kind of a decision, I want to get into detail, but there's a kind of a decision maker who will do only something if it is large and for the first time and massive. Right? Can you take a few guesses amongst, say, Indian leaders? Karega to bada karega, nahi to nahi karega. Huh? Let's talk about businesses, yeah. Dhirubhai is an example. So is his son, right? If he'll do something, it has to be all the 28 states of this country, not the 5 circle, 8 circle, this circle. If he has to top his father, who gave phone call for 20 paisa, how do you top 20 paisa? Free. You can't say 5 paisa, right? If the father has done 20 paisa, it has to be free, right? So these are people who need to be shown success stories regardless of where the success has taken place. Matter of fact, such leaders would actually get very angry if you show a success that has taken place in Saudi Aramco, in Texas or Total or any other oil and gas company. BPCL ने कर लिया, sir, क्या बात कर रहे हो? सरकारी company कर रही है, and we have not yet done it. He will be, so you have to, not necessarily your success. Success can happen somewhere else. After all, you're selling a concept. If your concept is, how many of you know this Fosbury flop? Have you heard of the Fosbury flop? Anybody? Yes? Yeah. High jumper. So there was Richard Fosbury, is an American athlete, he's still alive by the way, who changed the way that you jumped over the high jump. Till then people used to come running, and like we used to jump, no? Put one leg and then jump over the other side. He is the first person to say that let me go with the head first, shoulder, torso and legs. He won the gold medal, and after he won the gold medal, within like 3 to 4 years, all the gold medals in high jump were being done with the Fosbury flop. So Fosbury flop, just because Russia ने नहीं किया, doesn't mean the Russian guy will say हम नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि इधर succeed नहीं हुआ. No, the American is doing it. Yeah, he's winning medals. Siemens has started doing it. Our major competitor is doing it. We know that there is something happening in big in our. That is good enough. So success doesn't have to be with you. Success needs to be shown to him with conditions similar to you. Make sense? Any other question? Yes.
If it's others' success, then we've missed the bus as well.
Yes, of course, yeah.
Right? And many a times when we are talking about the wheel, the guy who invented the wheel was also not convinced that sometimes, and that's the scenario in AI gold rush, right? That how far, sometimes we have to convince ourselves first before we actually convince someone else. So it's a dilemma right now. So how do we really make that point clear towards our stakeholders to sell the idea? Because I was also talking recently with outside in the lunchtime, who will bell the cat? Because now everybody wants to do AI and all functions want to do it. They are all at their own pace and all. How do we differentiate and clearly say that, yeah, this function was, let's say, ICT or finance, or how do we, really start this?
So usually, what I'm going to talk now is not so much about technology, but it is about organizational politics. And by the way, politics is not a bad word. Politics is actually a very good word. Matter of fact, all of us sitting in this room, we have all reached a level where politics has to be compulsory subject, mains, not supplementary subject. Because everything that you will do hereafter is about managing the energy of the organization, right? So first point is that usually this bhagdod is happening. Everybody and their brother is trying to do something in AI because the top guy has said AI hona chahiye, right? तूने क्या AI किया आज? That's what is being asked now, right? What AI have you done? People are voluntarily coming and say, sir, biometrics, attendance we have made into AI, sir. Now canteen tea also is AI, sir. Everything is AI, sir. Everything is because that's the direction they have been given, that it has to be AI now. Everything has to be, it'll last for a little while. And these small, tiny projects which will show you this sheet, so the way you used to look at this sheet, now you can look at it this way with AI. They will find a very short shelf life. What you should be doing right now, the champions who should be doing, you're saying, I have to convince myself first. You should be convincing yourself on use cases that are deep use cases. I just gave you a use case for a retail outlet just now. Just now. It's a use case to say that if I just married the CCTV camera footage and just showed you the time a person is standing static. Please remember, in a retail outlet, when a customer is standing static, you're losing money. Because either she should be making a purchasing decision or she should be purchasing. But if she is standing waiting to pay, it is an opportunity loss which is happening with a very simple expedient of marrying the CCTV camera with the time of the POS that is taking. I can give you how many crores we are losing every year just because we don't have 2 more seats of accepting payment. If you start working on business cases like this, I'm pretty certain you will be able to move the needle. But if you're thinking one day you will wake up and God will come to you in a bush and say, here are the 10 commandments of AI, and that day you will get evolved and you will get convinced and you will come back and preach a religion. Not going to happen. It has to be with these use cases that you see, and that is why, I've heard one of the speakers speak in the morning, your domain expertise has to be really good. You really need to have, there is a very old story, I don't know whether it still happens or not, but the story is that Tesco required all its senior leaders to spend 1 day in a year at the point of sale as a teller. And the story is that when the CFO went, he realized that every packet that came, the POS person had to pick it up and had to put the QR code next to that light. Make sense? Loaf of bread comes, so that's, and he gave an instruction that hereafter every packaging that comes into Tesco must have QR code on all 4 sides. This 1 second of delay, if you multiply it same way, multiply it over millions of products, but guess what? A teller will never get this, because for a teller it's normal work. Uska kaam hai, 8 घंटे का duty करना है उसने. She doesn't get the big picture. How does it matter to her? If she cuts down this, velocity time that is taken, if she cuts it down, what difference does it make in her salary? Nothing. She's got an 8-hour shift. Her incentive is to do 8 hours. That's it. It doesn't mean that she has to do 8 hours. I mean, it's a CFO's way of looking at it, which is, wow, if we just made the QR code on all 4 sides, it'll cut millions of seconds off every day. So this is the reason why you have to be immersed in the domain, and you have to be also immersed in stuff that is happening, so that you are able to join the dots and say, okay, this is the way cross-pollination can happen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's, time is over. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Atan. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Captain Raghu Raman, for your very interesting storytelling style, likening sales or other business pitches to that of selling a wheel. I think everybody was more than engaged. Thank you so very much. Request Rakesh to please come and give a memento to Captain Raghu Raman for his wonderful presentation.